Okay, folks. Boker Or. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehakol nidbareh. Chaim. So we conclude the mimer, and we conclude with going back to the original words. The original words, the beginning of the third book of Chumash, the Torah, Vayikra, or Leviticus. Vayikra el Moshe. And he called to Moshe. Doesn't say who called, just he. And as we said, the calling is a language of chiba, of love, endearment, affection. And then continues, Vayidaber Havaya, Hashem. And he spoke, Hashem, God spoke. Adam, a person, the highest quality of a person, where there is no duality, where there is no duality, as the word Adam is a singular term, there's no plural to it. There's a singularness of cleaving of the soul to Hashem, God. Yakriv, and this person wants to get close, wants to bond and connect Hashem with the divine. And bring their offering. Bring their offering. So, the fact that the Vayikra, he called, comes before the God spoke, brings out that it's greater. In other words, the showing of endearment by calling to Moses, to Moshe, has a greater virtue, greater than even what he said to him, what he expressed to him. And that is expressed, and that is that's expressed by the fact Vayikra says no one, it doesn't mention who's calling him. It's a reference to God. But it doesn't say God. It doesn't say Hashem's name or Elohim. Because it's referring to the core essence of God. Beyond the name, right? A name is not an identifying core essence of the person. It's sort of like distinguishing you from another. But there's a name, and then there is you that's beyond the name. So who's calling to Moshe? That part of God that is called the Atzmos, the core essence of God, that is beyond the name. And therefore, that expresses itself, the chiba, the endearment, in the fact that he's calling. So what comes out is, on one level, the calling is an end in itself, which is not the usual case. When you call a person, you call them to communicate with them, right? You call on the phone, wasn't you wanted to say something, you wanted to express something, you wanted to share something. When you call a person on the phone or you call them, hey, Yehuda, that's calling them, right? What's up? What are you doing? Or, hey, this happened and that happened. That's the communication that you have after you call the person. So usually calling is only a means to an end. But here, it expresses an end in itself, that it's a calling of God from his core essence to Moshe in a manner of endearment. That's an end in itself. By the way, in human terms, we can appreciate this. When you call a person for no reason, just to say hello, that's very endearing. That's very endearing. Now, at the same time, of course, it is God calling to Moshe. And then afterwards, Vayidaber Hashem, God spoke, he communicated, he shared an important message, an important teachings. So it does serve as a means to an end also, but not that we should lose out on the end in itself, which is important because we always connect with people in a means to an end, but we fail often to appreciate the end in itself. Just that he called in an endearing way that was from the core essence, from Atzmus, from the core essence of God. That's beautiful. That's wonderful. And then it comes to preface that he's speaking to him. He's speaking to him. Right? Um, uh, to convey something. And whenever he's conveying words of Torah, words of a lesson, of a teachings, of a command, it's always prefaced by Shem Havaya, by the name Tetragrammaton, Kivavke. It's always prefaced by that. Chaim. So what is it? What is the idea over here? That Vayikra Vayidaber, that he called in an endearing manner from the core essence to Vayidaber, and he spoke, communicated, right? Words of Torah. What it means to convey over here as the means to the end, right? In other words, there's an end in itself, but the means to an end is that the revelation of Atzmos, of the core essence of God, right, which is beyond Torah, just calling for no reason, right? Just an endearment is expressed and revealed in the words of Torah. In other words, put in other terms, that generally speaking, what we're speaking about when we draw down Torah, we need to know that when we're drawing down God's communication of Torah, right, that is coming from the tetragrammaton from Shem Avaya, the name Avaya, that really where it begins and where it's rooted is in the core essence of God. You know, you can appreciate a person for their great wisdom and intelligence and connect to them on that way, which means you're connecting to a light of theirs, but you're not connecting to them and the core essence of them, right? Because a person is not intelligence, right? Intelligence is an aspect of a person, but it's not the person. So how often do we connect, appreciate someone's wisdom, but so we can learn Torah and appreciate God's wisdom, but that's not connecting to the core essence of God then. The core essence of the Torah is drawn down from the core, the wisdom of Torah and Torah teachings is drawn down from the core essence of God. Right. So that teachings, that message is rooted in the core essence of God. That's Vayikra Vayidaber. Now we can connect this further. If you look into the Sefer Torah, the Torah scroll, you'll see that the word Vayikra, the Aleph is a small Aleph. There are 3 letters sizes in the Torah. 99.9%, 99% maybe, are regular medium size. Then you have sometimes a larger size, right? Like in Hashem Echad, Shema, the ayin in Shema is large. The Dalit in Echad is large. We won't go into that now, right? And here in the word Vayikra, the Aleph is small. It's small. Aleph Ze'era, as it's called. That's an Aramaic word. Ze'era meaning small. So what does that show on? Smallness is humility, bittul, self-effacement, self-abnegation of who? Well, the person who's being called. Moshe. Moses. Now, what does that mean? That he is small, that he is humble. What does that mean? Even though he knew his great virtues, like it wasn't false humility. Nah, not really, I'm not so smart. No, he knew he was smart. No, I'm not so prophetic. Sometimes I make a mistake in my prophecy. No. He didn't say that. He didn't make a mistake. Brilliant and brilliant. Never made a mistake. Well, in art, Torah speaks about one mistake, okay? Whatever. Or one sin, if you will. But let's not go there now. So then what is he humble? He didn't give importance to him. In other words, there's someone was did really well in something, so felt really proud of themselves. Look what I accomplished. Look what I accomplished. So he never gave credit to his accomplishments. He said, I'm endowed by God. God gave me the power. So he didn't give the importance to himself. On the contrary, Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, in his great wisdom, understanding, and teachings, and Redeemer, yeah, this goes on and on about him, and made him feel small, not big. What he accomplished, he didn't take credit for. But yet there was more to accomplish, so he felt small. And truly felt, you know. I sometimes might feel my accomplishment and, but no, I know intellectually that that's like, where am I going with that? Like, God gave me gave me the idea. God gave me the power to do it. And what am I taking credit for? The only thing you can take credit for maybe is that you decided to do it. But that you accomplished, yeah, that you were, you did the puzzle, and I always those New York Times puzzles, I get them 100%. Proud of my achievement. No, so it brought actually to it, right? So we can say that the reason for the aleph, the small aleph, that shows on the bittul of Moshe, and specifically, where is it showing it? Interesting. Like, to show that Moshe is humble, that he's bittul, self-effacing. He's not giving self-importance. By the way, that doesn't mean he doesn't recognize. Of course, he's important, but we're all important. I like. Well, yeah, the one who's so self-sure, they do the New York Times crossword puzzle with a pen, of course, obviously. So, so specifically in the word Vayikra is the small aleph. Why? Because his bittul, self-effacement, not giving self-recognition. By the way, who can do that? Only someone who's whole, complete, and worthy, because not what they did, but for who they are. So that he recognized. But that's what God made me, not what I did. So because of that bittul, that made him a vessel for the revelation of Vayikra, that God called him in an endearing manner, that the essence of God, right? And that further, right? Because it's not just that, the endearment, but that endearment from the essence of God is drawn into Torah. And therefore, who's he? Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe, our teacher, our master. That's what Rabbeinu means. From the Rav, right? Rav means rabbi, if you will, in English, right? Teacher. And so it came from Vayikra Vayidaber, right? That now drawn into the teachings of Torah is the way Torah is rooted in the essence of God, and that's what he becomes the teacher of, right? This then we can understand further why Vayikra is connected to the Karbonos, to the sacrifices, because that even though because the Torah, as it's rooted in the essence of God, is revealed specifically and more so in the Torah that teaches about sacrifices. Because what is sacrifices? Remember? It is about refinement of the world, refinement of ourselves, refinement of the world. Refinement of ourselves because it's our animal soul that's being offered on the altar. And it's being altered now through an animal in my stead. So you're being a refinement, yes, to the animal kingdom. What greater thing could it be than being on the altar of God? Or like tonight, what greater thing could be to that chicken that it should be on a Shabbos table? And through that, we make a dwelling place for God in this world. And in conclusion, it says, it's known that every single Jew has an aspect of Moshe in them. As we learn in Tanya in chapter 42, it's coming shortly. We all have a piece of Moses in us, including the bittul of Moshe, that self-abnegation, self-effacement, that humility of Moshe. We have that in us, in our soul. From this, it's understood that Vayikra el Moshe, that when God called to Moshe, who's he calling? Me and you, every single one of us. The Moshe and us, he's calling. And especially when you learn this particular verse, as we're doing now, that through this is also drawn the power, the empowerment, that we can be involved in sacrifices and the spiritual sacrifices. We don't have physical sacrifices now. Spiritual sacrifice meaning that we don't live life on autopilot, because that's not a sacrifice. It's me being me. Sacrifice means I'm giving up a little piece of me for something more than me, something greater than me, to fulfill what God needs from me and not what I just want, because I just want what I want. I'm ready to do that. And this will make a preparation very soon. Through that will be ultimately the service with sacrifices in the third and final and everlasting holy temple that will do the mitzvahs before Hashem as his will. The third base of Mikdash, that it should be built speedily in our days. The car of Mamish very soon. That is the end of the Bible. Wow. A lot we can bring. And now we're going to go daven. And we're going to try to get back here as soon as we can for Chumash Rashi, because it's a bit long today. And today is about the laws of kosher. So come and join us. Thank you, folks. God bless.